Hello. And wow, we're almost done. It's really exciting. I've been getting a lot of emails from you this week, and they have helped form the basis of some of the things that I'm going to cover today. It's really important that you continue watching the videos, and I'll even go so far as to say, watch them more than once. It's not uncommon for us to watch something or read something through the first time, end up with a lot of questions at the end of it, and the best way that you can help yourself before shooting me an email asking all those questions is to go back in and watch it or read it a second time and see, are the answers embedded in what I just saw when I didn't have the question yet? Because at the end, you have the question. And then what you often find is that that question was preemptively answered. It's just you weren't ready to take it in yet because it hadn't come to your mind yet to even wonder about such a thing. So this is a skill not just for paying attention well in terms of anything you're trying to learn from in digital media, but also in the academic articles that you read and the books that you'll read in your classes going forward and the reports that your boss will give you to read. You want to read them more than once because you understand them at different levels each time that you engage with them. So read this, meaning watch it, the first time, take good notes, make lots of reference to questions as you go along, and then watch it again. And if you still don't have the answers you need, shoot me an email. I will be glad to get involved and help you find the information. Or even better, stop by office hours. I had 4 students in office hours this morning, and it was super exciting. And like I said, that helped form some of the things that I know folks are struggling with so that I can go ahead and address them in a video like this. So for those of you who stopped by this morning, thank you for your inspiration. Couple of things you need to know this week as you're working on your rough draft and as you're totally ignoring now the annotations that are finished. The annotated bib is in. You don't have to think about it again, except wait. When I give you feedback and a grade on it, one of the things you're going to want to pay attention to is if you still didn't do the citations correctly, you need to fix them, because those citations will end up in the reference page of your final draft of your paper, and they need to be right. They need to be correct. So yet again, I will be giving you feedback on those citations, and yet again, you need to take that feedback into consideration if you didn't get a woohoo, you did this correctly, because your reference page is going to be using those exact same citations, and they still need to be right. Another thing you need to know this week, you probably haven't noticed because it's been my experience so far this week that students have not been referencing the calendar that we've been working with. The calendar is still giving us information, not just due dates. The calendar is giving us information also about resources we need to take advantage of during the week. And this week you have 2 chapters of reading assigned. And those chapters are, as always, links to methods of discovery that are in the actual folder of content we're working in right now. Chapter 6 and Chapter 5 are both vital information for you to have at this stage of the game. So when I get an email that says, I don't understand in-text citation, I immediately think, oh, you didn't read the thing I needed you to read. So please ask every question you have. And please, before you ask the questions, utilize the resources I've given you, because they're there as a tool for you to make you more capable and to feel more capable as you go about doing something no one really loves to do. I probably love paper writing more than most people on the planet. And even I, at this time of the semester, every time I take a course, which is almost every semester, I'm taking one right now, I get to the point where I'm just sick of it, done with it, want it over with. So I get that. And using the resources I've given you will actually help you do it instead of make it harder to do it. So check them out. These 2 chapters are important. The rough draft needs to be gross at this point, not when you turn it into me on Sunday. That's your rough draft you're turning in for the first go round of grading. At this point on Wednesday, it should really be, remember, this is the Anne Lamott thing I referenced last time, a shitty first draft. So in other words, it should be yucky. It should be word vomit. It should be all the thoughts in your head as you go through the bullet points that I gave you without a lot of structure or policing. You cannot be the Gestapo in your own head, worried about grammar, worried about sentence structure, worried about whether or not you're even on topic, as you try to get out of you all the things you've learned and all the things you know. You have to go through the word vomit stage to be able to have everything on the page, to then start making it make more sense, be prettier, etc. So it should be yucky right now. I've gotten a few folks coming onto office hours or emailing me saying, I'm done with my introduction and I'm lost. Well, first of all, your introduction really is the last thing you write, not the first thing you write. Go ahead and write it because that'll get you started. Feels natural to write your introduction first, but don't get married to it. An introduction is how you bring the reader into the whole paper. And you haven't written the whole paper, so there's no knowing how you should best bring the reader into that yet. So at this point, write an introduction, don't care what it looks and feels like, and then just get busy with the rest of it instead of hunkering down on, this sucks. How do I make my introduction better? You don't. It's the last thing you're going to deal with. If you are wondering, though, when you sit down to look at your introduction later, like Friday morning, now I've written the paper and I've introduced my reader to this paper, it still sucks. What should it look like? And this goes for all parts of the paper. Go back to the articles you've been reading. I know it's mind-blowing, but you've been reading all semester articles that you're now joining the conversation with. So every time you think, what should this look like? How formal should this be? How should I be addressing this information? Go look at the articles you've read. They are something for you to mirror because they are the conversation you are becoming a part of. So hopefully that helps. One of the things students really struggle with at this stage is how to present the points of view that they have found from researchers. So let's start with the fact that students often struggle with understanding how to frame the points of view, because very often they're coming from perspectives straight out of high school or not having been in school for 10 or 15 years. And when they were in high school, it wasn't very much different from now. And everything's very simplistic. So everything is yes or no. People are skinny or they're fat. And in the real world, that's not true. In the real world, you don't just have skinny and fat people running around. You got a whole lot of people in between. So the first thing to remember is I've been really mean about this and said, you can't provide me yes and no. You have to provide me at least 3 perspectives. Here's where students get lost. They think, okay, if it's 3, then it's yes, no, and maybe. Well, it might be. For some folks, that works out. It's very rare. Usually, the 3 perspectives are not all that different from each other on face value. That's why the complexity of the research matters. So in other words, the 3 points of view you present might be yes, if it's raining, or yes, if it's Thursday, or yes, if it's raining and it's Thursday. Those are 3 different perspectives. They seem like the same answer because the answer is yes, but they're actually more complex than that. So keep in mind, this doesn't need to be simplistic and probably won't be. Another thing to keep in mind with the points of view is when you're presenting them, you want to be thoughtful about signaling to your reader, hey, everything you're about to read, somebody else thought of. This is not me. And this is even more stern a warning than just putting in text citation. So if you start a paragraph and you're just talking about ideas and then you got an in-text citation at the end, it is not clear to your reader until the very end that everything they've just read isn't you thinking. And the points of view, when we're presenting them in the part of the paper where we say, here was my question, here's one answer I got, here's another answer I got, here's another answer I got. You want to signal at the beginning of each section, probably each paragraph, that the information comes from somewhere else. So in other words, here's your question. What do I do about whether or not the green man is an archetype that occurs across the world? See, I just looked around and found the green man. And then the presentation of answers needs to be set up like this. Research from Smith 2001 suggests the green man is only present in Celtic populations. Blah, 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 about that, right? Because you've signaled everything else you're about to read comes from Smith. And so then the next point of view, for example, would be O'Shaughnessy et al. 2009 says the green man actually exists in all Western cultures in some guise. Blah, 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 blah about that. And then third point of view, I'll leave it to your imagination here. Or if you're not looking at points of view that come from distinct articles, you would still signal everything you're about to read is not mine, it's other people's perspectives by saying, research suggests that the green man exists only in Celtic cultures. And then the whole rest of the section or paragraph might reference 4 or 5 different articles and authors that say the same thing, but your author's been signaled, this is all research, this is not me talking. Next section would say, research also suggests, though, that anywhere in Western culture you might find images of the green man. And then all of the authors who said that and how they said it. So hopefully this helps as you're thinking about framing presentation of other people's ideas, not only in terms of how to come up with those different points of view, but also how to present them so that you don't accidentally lead your reader to believe this is you arguing a position instead of you presenting other people's research. So I'll leave you with this because I'm going to make it under 15 minutes today. I took a look at your grades so far because I'm kind of competitive about grade stuff. I've always been in school when other members of my family were also in school. And so we've always had this little thing going of who's doing what and how well. And so thinking you might find this interesting, I thought I would let you know that looking at the grades right now today, 74% of the students in these, and I have 5 sections of English 103. Of those 5 sections, 74% of the students are passing, which means only 26% are not passing. 100% of the students in that 26%, so 100% of the students not passing the course right now, have some zeros because work wasn't turned in. So in other words, if all work was turned in on time, there's no one who's not passing the course. To break down that 74% passing a little bit more finely, 41% of the total number of students in this class have A's. Not 41% of the 74, 41% of the students in this class, almost half the students in this class have an A. 19% have a B. 12% have a C, only 2% have a D, and as I said previously, 26% are not passing. If you add all those up, you'll find they come to 100%. 74% passing, 26% not passing, 41% total with an A, 19% with a B, 12% with a C, and 2% with a D. So, doesn't that make you feel better about the world? I know it makes me feel a lot better about the world right now. If you need anything, you know how to get in touch with me. Tomorrow morning, I'll be in my office hours. I'm available only via email on the weekends. And on the weekends, I only check in via email once or twice a day. So please, please, please take a look before tomorrow afternoon, what you might need and how you might need it so that you can ask me in a way that you get as thorough of an answer as possible instead of Sunday morning, I realize you're panicked and then I try to get you a little bit of information that can help before Sunday at midnight. So you can do this. It's almost over. Let me know how I can help. Talk to you soon.